There's a lot of confusion. I think some people wonder, how do I set one of these up? This is a 5-pin sight. Is it a fixed pin sight? Is it a movable sight? Actually, it's both. I'm going to talk about the Tech Hybrid sight. Actually, the Tech Hybrid, the Tech Hunter XL. A lot of people ask, a sight like this, is it a fixed pin sight? Is it a movable sight? Actually, it's both. There's a lot of confusion. I think some people wonder, how do I set one of these up? What do I do for shooting longer distances? How do I set my short pins? And it's not that complicated. What you have to do is you have to treat this, first it is a movable sight, but then you also set your fixed pins, and I like to do it with the method of calling basically a home system. This is a 5-pin sight. So basically I would set my 5 pins 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60 yards as they go through. So what I would do is on my last pin, I would set that as a 60-yarder, and then I would have a sight tape on here that basically when it's set at 60, that's my home setting. Now here's how I would get there as far as how I'd sight this in. I would start with putting a pin basically in the bottom portion of my sight housing, how I would where I'd want it to be, and then I would move it to the point that I would need to get so it was on at that 60-yard setting. From there I would take it and I would use that as a movable pin sight, and I would set it up the same way I would any other movable pin sight, setting my distances for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and so on. Then I would come back, and while that pin is at that 60 setting, which we're calling home in this case, I would go back and I would move the other pins accordingly to sight in, a 50, a 40, a 30, and a 20. I kind of work it backwards. That's one way that you can do it. Another way, guys might start with the top and they might do a 20, and they might use that as their floater. The reason I like the bottom is it seems like when you go to the longer distances, it makes sense to have where that leaves off. So in a situation here where my last pin is 60, if I decide that I'm shooting the distance of say 80 yards, I can move this down there. I know my last pin is now set up for 80 yards. If I wanted to go back to where I was shooting, in a closer setup where I was shooting closer, I could move this back to 60, knowing that when I'm at my home setting, my 20, 30, 40, 50 are also on at that point.